Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Real Hawk Talk post-game show. I am Brian Nemhauser. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, Facebook, soon to be TikTok, @HawkBlogger. And I got my good buddy, Jeff Simmons. Again, 2 times, double dipping today. We pregame, we postgame. And man, the Seahawks did it again, my friend. They go to 8-5. They sweep the Cardinals, the team that I think a lot of folks thought was maybe the best team in the division heading into a few weeks ago. And Seahawks got everyone looking up at them. What do you first of all, how are you doing, man? How'd that game treat you?
First half was like heaven, man. It was everything we've wanted all year. Ryan Grubb was awesome. The running game got going. Zack Charbonnet was unbelievable in the first half. The second half stressed me out a little bit until the last couple minutes. I was a little annoyed at just they couldn't put the game away, and they missed that pass to Noah Fant, and I was getting a little stressed. I'm like, are they actually going to blow this game? Until the Cardinals had the worst uses of timeouts I've maybe ever seen. I have never seen a team use 3 timeouts with 7 minutes left in the game. They were down 2 scores, but that was absurd. But, man, the Seahawks defense, another good game. The running game in the first half, at least. And the drive at the end was awesome. I thought Ryan Grubb, a guy I've been very hard on, I thought he had a really good game plan today. And I thought JSN and DK did some big things and some big moments. DK still doesn't look right, but overall, another great game for the D. Ernest Jones, man, what a play on that interception. And Kyler Murray looks like the guy we thought he was. That we are who we thought they were. Dennis Green clip, the Cardinals, we were saying for weeks, they were beating up on kind of crap opponents. The Seahawks own them twice, including at home now in 3 weeks and 3 losses in a row. So feeling pretty good, man. A lot of cool things in that game,
dude. So I'm gonna hit both sides of this. On one side, I will say, if you were someone that was listening to this show this week, this was the game you should have expected. We talked about get the run game, that we thought it was getting close. We thought it could get going. We thought that the duo scheme, the gap scheme runs showed something against the Jets. And guess what, man? That absolutely blew this game open. So that all showed up here, predicted a win, all that. So that's a nice little pat on the back for us and for folks that were following. If you had asked me before this game, immediately before this game, who I thought was going to win, I would have told you the Cardinals. And I would have told you, the Seahawks could be staring at a 3-game losing streak if they lose this one. It could really go the wrong way. And I was completely wrong. So, always probably best not to trust your, pregame jitters, but it's pretty encouraging to see the run game get going the way it did today.
And the cool thing was, man, it was the stuff we talked about. If you want, I don't know how much you can see from the press box, but Lomea was getting a lot of hype from the commentators. He had some misses. He had some bad moments in this game for sure. But Lucas and Lomea on some of those runs to Charbonnet out wide, some of the run blocking was fantastic. And Zack Charbonnet, a guy we've been very critical of on this show in a group chat, he played, you said it this morning, when he's gotten a bulk of the carries, or I think one of our super chats this morning, he looked like a totally different player. He looked like the dude we thought we were getting out of USC, where he was powerful, he was getting first downs, he was hitting hard. And that's not the guy we've seen this year as the change of pace back. And McIntosh, I thought, looked pretty good as well. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't just a fluky run. That's a team that no one's really run the ball, and their run defense has been excellent. And to come out and dominate in the way we thought they might, I thought that's a very encouraging sign. And a lot of the stuff we talked about, especially you did after the last game, it's going to be a little bit harder in the next 2 weeks. But, man, to come out and do that, that's a big win for the whole offense, for Grubb, for McDonald, and the O-lineman.
Well, what did we talk about, man? Not only did I think that this was going to be a game where they got the running game started, but just like you just said, I said it would be meaningful if they did it because this Cardinals defense is excellent against the run. They've been very good at slowing teams down. I think I tweeted earlier, I can't remember the exact stat. I think the last 4 teams they faced didn't have more than 79 yards rushing. 5 of the last 6 teams have not had more than that. Seahawks had 121 at halftime. This was a legit Seattle did something to a team that they don't let other teams do. what have we talked about for years, Jeff? We've talked about, can the Seahawks be a team that other teams have to adjust to? That the Seahawks are the team that bring the physicality, that bring the repeatability. And it's been a long time, but now you can say, look at this defense. Another week, another game where they hold a team under 20 points in regulation. And you now look at this offense. You know, we could say we don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but let's get freaking ahead of ourselves. What if this is the start of the offense now being multiple? That the offense can attack on the ground and through the air. And you just saw what that can look like for Geno Smith. Did you see him throw anything that was like really in harm's way? Did you see him force much today? It was an easy game for Geno Smith because of the way the offensive line played, because of the way the running game.
And yeah, we talked about complementary football all year. And that's why McDonald wants a running game, because when the whole thing comes together, they got 30 points, but struggling in the second half. They only got 6 points in the second half, and they could have had more if they didn't get a bunch of penalties and get out in their own way. But that's what it looks like. They had turnovers, obviously, but that's what complementary football is all about, and why the teams that run the ball are so hard to play right now. And when you play defense, you run the ball, and the receivers can get going. The whole thing looks really complete, and it was a really solid. I don't know how the guys are going to grade out offensively, but the broadcast, which was a really good broadcast, Ian Eagle, Charles Davis, it was a really good broadcast of them just showing the stuff that Lucas was doing. Some of the run blocking from Cross. The play that Charbonnet comes across at the goal line, they ran that well. And even JSN had some interesting runs where they had some plays for him where one, he just drops the ball, like swatted at it. That was
I think that might have been a good play if he had just caught the ball.
Well, I was actually interesting in because we never saw the other angle. We just saw the ball hit him in the hands and him swat it. But the other one, he has the other end around, and he should have got the first down. He kind of lost himself on the field there.
Yeah.
But that was a mistake by him. But I thought the play calling was creative. It was diverse. I loved what they did in a lot of short yardage stuff. And early in the game, 3rd and 1s, I loved those throws to Noah Fant out wide. And that's the stuff I've talked about. Play to your strengths. Don't try to beat your head up the middle. And they said on the broadcast, he said he can't just keep beating his head up the middle and trying to prove a point. They got to do what's best for their team. And I thought those 2 plays early in the game set a good tone for them with those throws to Fant on 3rd and 1s in big spots. And they bounce back after giving up an early score. They come down and they get points right away. They had a good drive. They got down to like the 2-yard line, and I thought it was smart they took the points there. And all day, I thought their game plan was smart. I thought JSN was really good. Like, could you tell the catch he made that almost hit the ground? Could you get a sense of that?
Oh my God! I mean,
that was an insane.
I had a great
play.
view of that.
Like the fact that he caught that cleanly was unbelievable.
I asked him about that 10 minutes ago, and I was like, do you do like hand strength workouts? I mean, how do you do that? And he's like, yeah, I do work on hand strength. And he said, I've seen that pass before. Like, he's very nonchalant about this stuff. Someone asked him, I think Greg Bell asked him, did you think about diving for that instead of just reaching down? He's like, no, because I really thought I could do something with the ball. I mean,
that was insane.
That's an elite receiver right there. It's an elite receiver making an elite play. And, that touchdown he had, again, like, great throw, great play call, great catch, great route.
That was an unbelievable route. That fly pattern to the corner was just, they were just going nuts about it on the broadcast. It was a perfect route, perfect throw, great play call. And I thought JSN in the first half especially, and then some big catches down the stretch to put them in field goal range to kind of put the game away. I thought he was great again. And when the whole thing comes together, this is a pretty good team. Like, they could have won the game a lot earlier. Geno just missed Noah Fant, play I'm talking about on the throw down the sideline, and then they end up taking some penalties. But, man, when you get a complete room, we talked about today how many points do they need to win. We said 23.
Yeah, I was like 25. Yeah.
Yeah, they got 30. I don't think any of us would have guessed that. So,
no.
Game ball to JSN, game ball to Charbonnet. Like, I thought both of them were great today.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that play call you mentioned where they missed Fant, they overthrew Fant. Kenny McIntosh was wide open in the flat. He could have run for 40 yards.
Oh, really?
He was hopping up and down. He was like, oh, man. I thought Kenny McIntosh had a nice day today, man. Like nothing that I would say is like, oh, he's great, but competent, like perfectly fine fill in at third running back. And I think we got to give Zack Charbonnet a little bit more. I mean, like he has been really disappointing. I think very clearly seemed like a waste of a second round pick. A pick that was criticized by me, will always be criticized by me. I'm not going to change my mind about using a back-to-back years second round picks on running back, but it was exactly what you said, the guy we thought we were getting. Like, if you're going to use that pick, you at least hope that the guy's a difference maker at the position and can stand in as a starting back. This is a guy that I'm curious, Jeff, what we'll find out. How much of it was, he played a good game? How much of it was the offensive line played a good game? And how much of it was that this gap scheme that they have now embraced fits his running style in a way that I don't know if he's a zone running back. Like, I'm not sure that's his thing. There were a couple times today where he showed some patience before hitting it. And I was like, it's a confident player that is feeling himself on the field. So I thought he was great receiving as well. Made some great catches.
There was a big one over his head.
Yeah, huge. So, I mean, he probably had close to 200 scrimmage yards today, I would guess.
It was basically it was 194.
Yeah. I mean,
and he almost broke a run in the fourth quarter where he had the edge, and he was one-on-one. If he gets by the one guy, it's a touchdown. It was when they're trying to seal the game off. It didn't matter. They're killing the clock at that point. But he got around the guy, and the guy got him by the ankles. That was another. He was patient. He ran the ball hard. He had a big plays, which is not something we were talking about today. Like, we had that whole conversation this morning. Like, does he get the 20, 30-yard runs? Not really. He had a 54-yard run.
He did.
Well blocked, explosive.
Yeah.
He looked powerful, and he looked quicker than I've seen him look this year. And then second half got a little harder for him, and we saw a lot of those 1-yard runs. And I think Arizona was selling out to stop the run in the second half. And the running game got away from them a little bit until that last drive, but you got to give the guy a big amount of credit. Like, I've been as hard as anyone on him, and he was awesome today.
Yeah, it was great to see that. We should talk about Satawa Lamea. You mentioned the broadcast mentioning him. It sounds like he had a pancake on the 51-yard run.
Yep.
I didn't see it, so I can't wait to go watch it. But I thought that the thing that stood out to me today with him was his pass protection. I watched him quite a bit, and he was really solid. I think, who cares what the grade's going to be? I thought back-to-back weeks, he's our right guard, dude. Like, that's my takeaway. Like, he's going to be our right guard.
So the big thing is, he's already in my man. He's played at a higher level in 2 games than Anthony Bradford has in a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
He's looked, again, a lot of things talked about today. The things he does at the high level is a quality starting NFL offensive lineman. And I know, like, Dominic Pooney was the guy we were like, oh, we didn't take Dominic Pooney. This guy kind of looks like him in a similar way. They have some similar skill sets. So they might have hit something here, and that would be a big deal, because then maybe you shift Haynes over to left guard, see if you can compete with a veteran. And then all of a sudden the line looks a lot different. But I thought Abe looked really solid again, other than a pretty stupid penalty coming out of a timeout. But a nice game where the offensive line is not a disaster. Geno wasn't running for his life all day. They had good pass protection when they went max protect. Geno wasn't running around like a crazy man out there. It didn't look like a lot of their offensive line games looked, and that's a front that's hard to defend. And I was worried about LJ Collier taking over. I didn't hear his name. Didn't hear the guy's name.
That's such a funny thing to say, my friend.
Oh man, that's just how I told you I was anxious this morning. I thought Budda Baker was unreal today, even playing through an injury. But the Seahawks just looked far and away like the more complete and better team.
Well, I mean, I got to tell you, Geno Smith looked, what's the right way to express it? Surprised doesn't even capture it. Confused almost. Like he was dropping back, and he was able to go through his progressions. He was able to go through 3 progressions And you can almost feel like him saying, like, wait, I'm turning and there's no one here to hit me. How is this happening? Like, I honestly felt like he was having to adjust to getting good pass protection for the first time all year. And that was like, that has to be the best pass protection game we've seen from the Seahawks in a long time. Like, he had, especially the first half, he had a lot of time to get rid of the ball and was able to really scan the field and make a lot of dump. And then it's still like he'd go three progressions, Jeff, see no one was open, dump it down, and they get 7-8 yards. Like, that's how an offense should look if you're operating properly as an offensive line.
And that's one of the things we've been very critical of Waldron of over the years, where there never felt like there were outlet routes and there never felt like there was an option if the receivers were covered. And I thought Geno today had his best game at knowing when to throw the ball in the dump off in space. He did a really good job getting the ball to Charbonnet and McIntosh at times and using his outlet routes. And I thought it was one of the more professional, even the throw he made to Lockett, which Lockett just
that was a beauty.
That was a beautiful ball. Like, unbelievable throw to put that in front of him where he had the chance to make a play. Because Lockett was not open. It was dead tight coverage. And unbelievable throw there. He just missed Pharaoh Brown on that first drive on the touch. There should have been a touchdown. I was beating myself up on that one. I thought 7-3. It was a great play call. He's wide open. Pharaoh Brown doesn't move very fast, so probably hard to time his. But I thought you're right. I thought the pass protection was really solid, and I thought the defense, like from 1 to 11, everyone was pretty good today. No, there was no like Leonard Williams All-Pro game, but like everyone was. I thought Tariq was really good today, but I thought there was just a very professional, very solid, everyone contributing in different ways. Really cool game from the defense.
Well, the other piece, I got to throw out some roses, I guess, to the coaches. I thought, well, this is a chance where Mike Macdonald, we talked about in the pregame show. What is it like when he gets to face a team for the second time? And my kind of assertion was, based on history, he seems like once he's got you figured out, you're in the lockbox, man. Like, you don't get out, because we haven't seen an OC face him the second time and generally play better. No. Well, this is 2 times in 3 weeks, and they held them to 6 points the first time. That is so hard to then go on the road. You're not going to hold them to that again, like their season low, but they essentially suffocated them again. And I asked Ernest Jones, you got to listen to the Ernest Jones post-game press conference, because I asked him, what's it like having Mike Macdonald in your helmet as the guy that's calling the plays? And what's it like with him calling plays? He's like, man, I wish you could all hear it. It is like he's on the field with us. He sees things like no defensive coordinator I've ever worked with. And he just is always a step ahead. And so that's your head coach. He's not going anywhere. Everyone always talking about, oh man, you got to hire an offensive head coach, because if they're really good at OC, they're going to get hired as head coach somewhere else. I think that's bunk. What it is you want to get a coordinator who is unbelievably good at giving you a scheme advantage and a play calling advantage. Doesn't matter which side of the ball. And I think Mike Macdonald's one of those guys, and he's ours for a long time. And then I thought Ryan Grubb had maybe his best game of the year. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the offensive line played better, and he's able to get through some of like his playbook. He's not just having to go like 3rd and 9 and all these crazy, like terrible plays to have to call. It felt cohesive. It felt like he was a step ahead. So I thought both of those guys deserve a ton of credit.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And this was not an easy week for Grubb, with a lot of the conversation shifting towards his future. And they didn't have a good offensive. What they score? 9 points last time they played Arizona?
6. Sorry. Yeah, right.
The Seahawks offense scored 9.
Yes, correct.
And it was a struggle the whole game. And to come out, and you're right, that was a big step forward for him. You saw an offense that felt repeatable. It didn't feel fluky. I know there were a lot of turnovers, obviously, that gave them short fields on their touchdown drives. But the plays they were running, the way they were using their best players, and DK Metcalf, he still doesn't look quite right. Like,
he doesn't.
No, he's running. Yeah. He's laboring when he's running. He can't separate very well. He's not getting down the field. So he's clearly banged up. He still made some big plays in the second half where Geno made some pinpoint throws. But yeah, you saw a great game from Grubb. Like, that was the best game. He wasn't obvious in what they were doing schematically. They were creative. They didn't do a ton of, I thought some of the stuff they did near the goal line was good. Great game ball for him. And I thought McDonald again. They go out, they score early. Julian Love bites on I know it was Kobe Bryant bites on a play fake. They went after Josh Jobe a couple times early. And they come back and they basically do nothing other than one drive the rest of the game. And really good, just complete team defense. I thought they did so many. I thought every single player who played significant snaps for them had a moment. Like, I thought Tyrese Knight had some really good hits, some tips near the line of scrimmage, some really good tackles. Jonathan Hankins had a good play in space. I thought Hall and Mafe were really good today. They didn't show up in the stats, but I thought they were both. They were forcing holding penalties in key spots. They had a beat on those guys. Jaron Reed had some good plays in the line of scrimmage, a block. Byron Murphy had some really good run stops. Ernest Jones, the play he makes on the interception, unbelievable play. Unbelievable. Like,
that's an unbelievably bad throw by Kyler Murray. What the hell was he doing? No, he didn't.
He tricked him. I think he tricked him.
Yeah.
Can we stop talking about Jordan Brooks anymore? Like, this guy is so much better.
I love that, Jeff. Say more. I mean, like, has Ernest Jones made more plays in this game than Jordan Brooks made in his 4 years? I mean, like, Jordan Brooks, I love Jordan Brooks. Jordan Brooks didn't make impact plays the way Ernest Jones makes impact plays.
Yeah, and Ernest Jones just seems like the captain of the defense, the leader. The thing we struggled with Brooks was he was very good at his assignments and coverage, but we just didn't see enough flash plays. In Miami, oddly, he's made more flash plays playing in the same defense. So we could always wonder how he would have been in this McDonald defense, but I just love what I see from Ernest Jones. People bemoaning the price of that trade. I'm hoping they can take the L on that one. To give up a freaking fourth rounder for a guy who's completely stabilized their defense, they're going to sign this guy. He's been just almost a godsend to this defense in terms of what they were getting at the linebacker spot. If you watch that Detroit game or the San Francisco game or even the Bills game, it was so ugly. And to see that the linebacking level and Tyrese Knight, a guy and we all crushed that pick, crushed it. He looked good, man. I thought you had a really good. I don't know if it's a blue sky or it was a tweet just talking about how hard he hits.
Oh, yeah.
Man, he looked solid. Like, I was very impressed with what he did today. So that Spoon was pretty good. Loved
Spoon had another. He had another, like, oh my God, that guy's going to get outside him. And then somehow, not only does he tackle him, he tackles him for a loss. I'm like,
yeah,
how does he do that, man? Like, it's every week he does that.
And he's just talking so much smack out there. It's so fun to watch.
Oh, and I love what you bring up with Knight. Like, that hit near the goal line, near like when the Cardinals were coming out of their own goal line, and it was like a 2nd down and 17, and he just shoulders the guy to the ground in just just a disrespectful way. It was like, that's what you want in your football team. That's what you want in your defense. And that the best part is, not only did he bring that physicality as a hitter and a tackler, he made a fantastic play in coverage, swatting away a ball from, I think, Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, the guy's spot dropping in zone and making those plays, and he's a rookie. And we talked to Ernest Jones about this just a little while ago. He learned from Bobby Wagner when he was a rookie, or like a second year, whatever it was. It might have been his rookie year. Maybe it's the second year. Anyway, it doesn't matter. When he was young. And now he's got Tyrese Knight, and he's passing down lessons to Tyrese Knight. He says he's with him everywhere. And Jeff, I'm just going to bring it up again. Ernest Jones, 25. Tyrese Knight's 23. These are going to be your starting linebackers for the foreseeable future. Yeah. And I'll go as far as saying Ernest Jones should be a Pro Bowler this year.
Like, playing like it.
The way this defense is playing, they're going to end up absolutely in the top 10. And Ernest Jones is not the number one reason, but he is a huge reason why it's happening. And so I think he's going to go down as one of the best trades. He might go down as a Marshawn Lynch-esque trade, not just because of the contributions on the field, but because of who he is and how he's going to contribute in the locker room.
I don't know what Tennessee was thinking, man.
I know. Well, that's why they're a shit franchise.
Yeah. They gave away AJ Brown. They gave away this guy. Like, they stole this dude from the Rams.
Yeah.
And they take on Jerome Baker in a 4th-round pick. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I'm glad the Seahawks are on the right end of that for once, you know?
Yeah, that's head scratching.
Well, there's so much to cover, and I don't want to keep you forever. Tell me, like, who are the people that stood out the most to you? Who are, like, your top 3 things or top favorite plays? Like, what are the things you're going to remember from this game?
Number 1 is Zack Charbonnet. I've been so hard on him this year. We've been joking with our group chat. Just every time he comes on the field, he kills drives. This was the best game of his career. In a huge spot. He looked like the dude I thought he was at a USC, and I was so devastated yesterday when I saw Walker was out, and I thought we were going to lose the game as of it. And to see him come out and have a game that's probably better than Walker had all the year. I'm not going to say he's a better player than Walker, but that, to me, I think I'm always going to remember that. The catch JSN made, we talked about, just unbelievable. And yeah, he had such a good game. And then for him to make that catch in a spot where they were kind of reeling and they needed to score, and it was a huge spot in a 3rd down. That was such a cool play. And like, he made it look so easy. It was cool you had to talk to him about it. And the other thing that stood out is just Kyler Murray choking in another big spot. Those 2 interceptions were just awful, and just right when they needed it. And his head was down, and basically everything me and you have kind of talked about with Kyler Murray, especially you. This was a big moment where they're the biggest high leverage game of their season. They might finish last in the division now after all this. San Francisco won again today. The Rams got very fortunate. They played a great offensive game. The refs helped them a lot. But Kyler getting owned by the Seahawks defense again, twice this year. We're hearing from the NFL media how these big formations were just going to destroy the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
What James Conner finished with today? Like, he was better today, but
a lot of those were junkyards too.
Yeah, let's see. Conner was. Let's pull this up quickly.
While you're saying doing that,
okay,
go ahead.
90. He was 18 for 90, 5 yards to carry, but
a lot of those were junkyards at the end. He had a big run like late in the game. I think the Kyler stuff's so well said because they're stuck with him now. Like, he's their guy, and I think he's just shown time and again he's not the guy. He's not the guy. I think he's a good player, but I would rather have Geno Smith every single time. Like, Geno Smith is the guy that's led the NFL in game-winning drives for the last few years. Is Kyler Murray that guy? No, he is not that guy. He's the guy that when the going gets hard, he crumbles. He had not only those interceptions, he had one of his Kyler Murray sacks where, like, the guys get close and he just goes down. Like, he just goes down. Like, he does that, and it's just that's not who you want leading your team in that moment. So, yeah. And by the way, again, I go on a road trip to an opposing division game, half full.
Interesting. This is a big game for them.
This is as big of a game as they've had in years. This is a team that should have beat the Vikings last week, and the Seahawks just absolutely dominated them.
It sounded like a Seahawks crowd too. Like,
yeah. I mean, it was very, very loud here for the Seahawks. It always is. But I don't know. Like, you and I have talked about the Cardinals. We've talked about that they've been impressive this year. They've been well coached. They had their big influx of draft picks. They don't have multiple, first round picks coming up to them. They don't have multiple, top 5, top 3 pick like they've had. I don't know. I think they're not gonna crest. I think they're gonna crest at a pretty mediocre level again. That could mean really good things for the Seahawks, and they're now essentially 3 games up on the Cardinals with 4 to play. If the Seahawks win 2 games the rest of the way, the Cardinals could go undefeated and they wouldn't win the division. So I think the attention maybe turns a little bit more to the Rams. But, are you scared of the Rams right now? I don't think the Seahawks should be.
No, not really. Their offense played really good today. The Bills' defense looked like they were asleep from a tough game in the snow, cross-country trip.
Yeah.
They barely had a single stop today, and the only one they should have had, the refs gave the Rams a very egregious missed call. So, no, I think the Rams are going to have a tough game with the Niners on Thursday. They play a short week against the Niners in San Francisco. I'm not confident the Rams are going to win that game. And if they lose that game, that puts a big gap in the standings. So, Seattle's got a really hard game next week with Green Bay. That's a really tough spot for them. But no, I looked at the Rams last week that struggled with New Orleans. I haven't seen them play a really good game in quite a while now. I thought Buffalo would win pretty easily, but I guess I underestimated the challenge of their defense traveling after that snow game. But short answer, not really. The Rams don't scare me to the point where I'm sitting there sweating out their games.
I see Alana in chat doing her normal thing, pumping up everybody but the Seahawks, and says Puka and Kupp are going to shred the Seahawks. Cooper Kupp and Puka didn't do crap against the Seahawks last time they played, and I think the Seahawks defense absolutely owned the Rams the last time they played. So anyone that's sitting there scared of the Rams, I don't think you've been watching. I think you're overreacting to this game against the Bills. That's a team that didn't score a point against the Saints in the first half just last week. So careful about, loving thy neighbor, I guess. So I guess, yeah, go ahead.
Atlanta, our buddy over there, was telling me this team was laughing at us when we said this team wasn't physical a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
They look pretty physical today.
It's true.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. But yeah, the Rams did play a really good offensive game today. Puka was amazing. It was the best game Puka's played all year. Stafford was great, but I think the situation with the travel and the short week and the defense, it was a tougher assignment than I realized. And so I haven't seen that kind of performance from the Rams all year. So I'm not going to be like, oh, they're back. Like, they kind of looked like crap the last month. So we'll see what they do Thursday against San Francisco. I think that's going to be a really telling performance. I'm not sure who they play the week after, but they don't have an easy schedule to finish. Let's see. I thought the Rams would lose today, which would have cleared things up a bit. But they play at the Niners, at the Jets, Cardinals, Seahawks to end. So decent schedule, but the Seahawks still have a game advantage on them right now.
Here's the thing, Jeff, and this is like when you and I talked about wanting to have a defensive line, a front seven that was a standout group. Part of the reason for that is that, sorry, we're getting a little bit of your breathing into the mic. You can move your mic a little bit. There you go. Thank you.
Darth Vader.
So part of the reason you want that is that you're in every single game. There's no team that you should be intimidated by. And what happened today, I saw it multiple times. The Cardinals, when they had to run, and the Seahawks knew they were going to run, they had no chance. The defensive line absolutely manhandled the Cardinals' offensive line again. And I think they're going to be able to do that to every line they face. I think they're going to be at advantage every time. And so you're going to be in every game. When you can be the team that is dictating the line of scrimmage, especially like on defense, you're going to be in every game. And they made it hard on Kyler Murray. They can't even rush their normal way against Kyler Murray because they have to worry about his scrambling. Are they worried about Matt Stafford scrambling? No, they're going to sack him multiple times. I'm really curious how they do against Jordan Love. I'm curious how they're going to do against Sam Darnold.
He was good today.
Yeah, those are two really good teams. What will people say, Jeff, if the Seahawks win either one or two of those games?
This is a contender.
I mean, those two teams are right there with the Lions, right? And they're coming to Seattle. I think both teams will be favored over the Seahawks. Is that would you expect that?
The Packers 100%. Vikings don't know.
This is going to be the moment where you find out whether the Seahawks are actually tier 1 contenders. And I'm not talking about Super Bowl. I'm talking about within the conference. Are they able to contend with tier 1 teams? Because the Vikings and the Packers are tier 1 teams. So right now, the Seahawks have proven that they can absolutely beat tier 2 teams like the Cardinals, like the 49ers. But this is their chance to see at home whether they can do that. And it's going to be Sunday Night Football, baby. Coming to Seattle for that game against the Packers. Whatever happens when the Packers play the Seahawks? Nothing, right?
Weird stuff.
And then Lumen Field, it's always just super normal games. All right, my friend. I think we got a couple super chats. Let me see if I can get those if you don't mind, and then we'll get out of here. It's always really hard for me to do this on my phone. Loomer Boy says EJ is the most important player on this defense and maybe on the entire team. Continues to be a stud. Please give him a bag to stay here forever. Yeah, I really like that guy. Nelgod says Geno played unreal. 2 drops, 2 Lockett drop in the end zone. Extend him now. Absolute stud game. Can't wait for Sunday night Packers game. I definitely hear you on that. John Stewart. John Stewart's watching our show, dude. I don't believe Walker is actually hurt. I think it was a quiet benching for not following blocks and freelancing. I do not agree.
That's quite the conspiracy theory.
I do not agree. We got a new member, Kid from the Hood. Thank you for joining, man. Welcome to the family. Great to see you. PGZ says, Woolen made me proud today.
He was good today.
This is a good player, man. I think I thought he made some good tackles today, too. Tommy says, wearing a JSN throwback, too. Monster catches today. All right, those are our super chats. So, Jeff, I think some of the guys are going to a casino tonight. I might go with them, watch some football. I'm not a big betting guy, but I might go there. I'll do Sunday night stats later, so we'll have there's going to be a bunch of great stats to go over. And then tomorrow it will be a little bit of a late day for Hot Blog Mornings, 2:00 Pacific time with Robert Mays. So keep an eye out for that. And then we'll have Real Hawk Talk later this week. We got a lot to go over because, man, the Seahawks are likely to make the playoffs, dude. They're likely to make the playoffs.
It's crazy. 4-5 a month ago, we were saying how bleak things look. You're like, man, I've put my career into this team. Dude, this is 4 wins in a row. I did not see this coming. And to see the offense spike up for the first time in a month was really cool. And if you do see Josh Cashman today in Arizona, or you run into him before he goes back to where he lives, not his best day. Kyler Murray, Caleb Williams, laying eggs. Cashman's probably happy he got to see a win, but at least Russ won, so that was good for him.
Yeah, I don't think I'll see Josh or Evan tonight. They're checking out, but yeah, it was fun to see those guys, and I can't wait to see little Jeff Simmons running around here in a while. So we'll have to wait for that and get you in the fam out here one of these times.
For sure. Say hi to all the guys tonight for me, and have a good time.
All right, that is Jeff Simmons. I am Brian Nemhauser. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, Blue Sky, @HawkBlogger. This has been another episode of Real Hawk Talk Postgame. If you haven't given the show a like and click subscribe, please do. I greatly appreciate it, and I'll see you tomorrow for Hawk Blogger Mornings. Take care, y'all.